New Year.
Give me a second. Yeah, happy New Year. How you
Okay,
doing?
I'm doing well. So we're back on episode 10. Can you believe how soon our episodes have
Yes.
just numbered up?
Yeah. We're back on episode 10, the first for the new year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this episode, we're going to be talking about New Year's resolutions or not. I think, yeah, it's almost a tricky topic, and yeah, what we can do is we can talk about how we set or don't set or reset our New Year resolutions and exchange our thoughts, and then we can
Okay.
share
I
what
think
we
I like that topic. Yeah.
yeah, the top three things, whether you want to call them resolutions or focus areas or priorities, and what we have ahead.
Sure.
Do you
Sounds good.
would you like to go first?
Um, yeah, I think first about New Year resolutions. Do you make them?
So I think I've had a love-hate relationship. So it's been evolving. I've made them at different at in some years I've made them, some years I've not. I've explored with visions. I've explored with creating an entire vision board for that particular year, like year-specific vision boards. And I think I experiment with different versions of what are conventionally called resolutions, sometimes smaller goals, sometimes visions. And I think what I'm doing also is just constantly experimenting and seeing what lands well with me given where I am. And underneath that
Hmm.
is an underpinning of my own evolving approach to personal growth and development, where I want to
Hmm.
constantly evolve and upgrade into better, more masterful versions of myself, happier versions of myself, and yet at the same time have hold a lot of acceptance for who I am now and everything that I've been in the past. So upgrading without making the past or the earlier version wrong.
Hmm.
And so that's where it is the self evolution without being critical or judgmental. And that's the fine balance, where I don't want the resolution to be a reaction to the so-called things I didn't like about myself, but really move into forward. And I think that's where my whole energy of the how do I frame these? How do I hold these for myself has come. So this year, I'm not choosing to call them resolutions as much as focus areas. So yeah, I'm going with three focus areas for 2026.
Okay.
How about you?
And do you find value in doing it around the new year for any particular reason, or do you do them through the year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I was at my parents over the new year, and me and my father had this huge debate, right? And my husband and my mother were listening in gleefully. And at one point, I pulled out my book and I said, "See, ya, Daddy, I have this whole chapter." And then we reached this because he doesn't believe in this. He's like, "No." And the thing that we reached there really was understanding that while my dad was all for goals and objectives and visions, he almost had an allergy to doing them at New Year. He was like, why should I do it at this time of the year, right? And then and my point of view was it holds me accountable. It's an easy way because it's like 25 every time you put the date, this is the year. And it's an easy time of the year because it's like everyone's talking about it, and that sort of gives me that collective push. So yes, I do find it. I like the calendar, and I like the kind of structure that it gives to my own growth and evolution, and I like having doing this in the new year. But I also totally understand why somebody like my father, for example, would say, what is this? I don't want to be setting these things just because it's new year. And I totally get that perspective as well, but it helps me to do it at this time of the year.
Hmm. So I also, of course, the reason we are talking about this topic is I'm guessing we both have a relationship with the New Year resolution at all. Um, so I do use every year to reflect, and usually at the end of year I do have a reflection, which we did last time in our podcast. Over a couple of years ago, I think I also started looking forward not just a reflective thing, but also started looking forward to say, what do I want to achieve? I have a complicated relationship with goal setting in general. And
I hear
so,
you, sister.
yeah. So I have it's complicated relationship with any form of goal setting. I feel it ties me down, it constrains me. So I've not been very good about setting New Year's resolutions for many years. But in the last few years in particular, I've gotten better at it. And I must clarify, New Year's is not the only time I do an annual reflection. The other time I do it is around my birthday, which comes in April. I use that as a year. And for my business, I do it at a financial year level, right? And then if any other something new comes up in my life, say June, July, August, September, I don't wait till December or January to start something if I feel it's going to benefit me. But I do look at New Year's quite seriously. And I do track and follow, I do try to track and follow New Year resolutions quite quite carefully. But so over the years, I do look at it as an engine for more than achieving something concrete. It's an engine for self growth, right? I look at it as an engine for self growth more than anything else. So
I
that's my relationship with it.
I love that phrasing, engine for self growth. And yeah, I mean, it just lands very well on me when you phrase it that
Yeah.
way. And I totally get the complicated relationship with goal setting. So have I had. In fact, I'm just going to, I mean, it might sound like a plugin, but I don't care. I'm just going to say it. The chapter 10 in my book is, the title is actually Double-Edged Sword of Goal Setting. And there are, and I
I'm sorry, I lost you there. At some point, your internet
yeah,
broke
so
off.
so so I said the chapter 10 of my book is actually titled Double-Edged Sword of Goal Setting. So there are four main advantages, four main disadvantages, because there are concrete downsides to goal setting, and really about how you can increase the upsides while decreasing the downsides, because you cannot eliminate them. So, but I
Mm.
think that will be for another podcast. But for today, let's
Yeah.
get into what are the resolutions or goals, or as I call it, focus areas that each of us have chosen for 2026. Do
Okay.
you want to go with your first one?
Yeah, but first, before that, I wanted to speak a little bit about my approach to goal setting, and that will kind of give clarity on how I sort of choose my goals as well. Um, I think the reason I stopped doing sort of New Year's resolution a few years ago was, one, I was overly ambitious. I would have a list of many things I wanted to achieve, and secondly, they were very much outcome oriented, right? I want to lose 10 kgs by the end of this year, or I want to have X revenue in my business. So it was very much outcome oriented and not so much input oriented. Right? It was very much more about, I want to get out of this year without having a clear set of steps of how I'm going to get there. Yeah. And there would be a lot. I think one of the downsides of being overall surrounded by ambition or swimming in seas of ambition and is way is it always felt very trite or small to have one goal or two goals for the year. It was always like, oh, in it's 365 days, I can achieve this and I can achieve 10 kgs and I can build a business and I can do this and I can do that. So I was always very ambitious around it. You asked me for three things. I don't know if I have three. The reason I said that is what has changed for me is through a lot of reading and everything. Two things have changed for me when it comes to goal setting. Most of my goals are now input oriented. It's about what I will do. It also kind of manages my relationship to goals and outcomes, because I am fundamentally a pessimist, so I don't believe in outcomes so much. I don't believe that input is equal to output. I
Yes,
will earn a
it
year
was
if
never supposed to be. That's not how the world works, right? Yeah.
so I have a huge, I've realized that I have a very complicated relationship with outcomes. I have a far more control over input. So most of my goals are input oriented.
So
And
Shweta,
two, I
not
rarely have more than,
you're not alone there. You're actually in sync with some very wise texts. The Bhagavad Gita, for example, has a verse dedicated to exactly what you said, right? Which is, I don't know if you've heard of it, Karmanye Vadhikaraste Ma Phaleshu
Huh.
Kadachana. In
Huh.
chapter, that's exactly what you said right now, that we have a right, or we can have ownership over our actions and our efforts, our inputs, as you call it, and not over the outcomes, not over the results or rewards. And so, yeah, you are
Hmm.
completely aligned with the phrasing of that.
Having said that, I think I will go into the first one.
Hmm.
The first one is actually a continuation. So the other misnomer, other misunderstanding I used to have in the past was I could build a habit in a year and then move on to the next one, the next year, you know. But having for the first time, I think we spoke last time about the three things I worked on this year, which was consistency was the first one, and consistency with fitness. That was my first year doing that. And in towards the end of December, when I was thinking about my goals, and I was thinking, oh, next year I need to do other things, and I realized I don't feel like I've achieved what I set out to do. I did work out 330 days in a year, but I don't feel ready to abandon that as a goal for this year. I feel I want to persist with consistency with fitness, right? I think that's an ongoing effort. It requires me to make new effort every day. So I don't think it's in my bones enough for me to not put it as a goal and be comfortable that it will happen. So my first goal is actually a continuation of last year's goal. I intend to be more consistent with fitness this year, right? I did lose 7 kgs last year, and I do have, as an outcome of my consistency with diet and fitness, hope to lose another 10 this year. But the goal is the input, which is I hope to be very much more consistent with both my eating habits and my overall fitness. So, my physical fitness, which is both exercise and diet, I have to crack the consistency code there in a way that it feels comfortable in my bones, where I'm confident that if I did not put it on the resolution next year, it will still happen. Right? So I think this year's number one resolution is fitness. The input of showing up every day, sometimes twice a day, for myself, for my body.
Wow, wonderful, lovely.
And what's yours? What's your first one?
Actually, it's not very different from your first one. So I'll piggyback on what you said about the bones. So it is related to
Hmm.
fitness, uh, a very,
Hmm.
very specific part of fitness, though, which is strength training. And there is a little bit of a backstory
Hmm.
here, and I do want to share it because I want to spread this message to all women, especially in their 20s, 30s, 40s, all. So I have been someone who's always thought of myself as very fit, very healthy, and sort of that's also been projected onto me. And I look fit, right? And I thought I was fit. And I had a bit of a shock this year when I realized I was not in all ways, and I'll specify. So one of the things I've been doing all my life is yoga. Okay. And I love yoga. This is not to say don't do yoga. And I've been doing cardio and dance. And I thought I had no problem. And then I had an injury walking my dog, and bless my dog and bless the other dog that gave me the injury. And this is how dogs can be great. So I had one injury in my campus when I was, walking my dog, and there was another dog off leash, and she pulled, and I thought it was a bad thing. Turns out to be a blessing in disguise. And then I visited my sister and took my sister's dog for a walk, and that doggy also. And there was a golden retriever who doesn't pull anyone. Saw a cat and pulled me, and I fell again, and the injury got worse. And I'm okay. There are some not so great things about me, one of which is I don't go to doctors easily. I sort of distrust them. And so after my first dog fall, I was just sort of doing my own healing and at home and all of that. The second one was the one that now forced me to go. to a physiotherapist. I had to get an X-ray, and as once I got the X-ray, I realized the X-ray says what you don't want to hear. My bone health was very bad. And yes, I'm into menopause. And then I looked up the science. This is very natural. Bone density keeps going down. Muscle health goes down since we are, in our 30s. And I hadn't really ever sat and looked at all of this. So not only were my bones actually quite bad, even our campus doctor, who usually always says, "Oh, wow, Ramya," he was like, "You look at your bones, okay?" And my muscles, so they were bad. I mean, yeah. So, uh, so it's like in my spine, to support my spine, I was actually having little growths. They're called something osteocytes. Literally, like my
Oh my God.
spine creating extra support structures to help me. So body is always trying to help us, but it's not the way.
Yeah.
The best way to support myself would be to get better bones, right? So, but my bone is now creating these little osteocytes, they're called little support structures. And I was like, oh my God. And my muscles also turned out to be very weak because we lose muscle health as women. So that's my journey now, to rebuild muscle and bone. As plain and simple as that. And that's my focus area.
And I must add there that that was I got into fitness last year for different sort of reasons, but it's pretty much the same thing, the same input. I had an injury, my muscles were very weak, and the only way out of it was really muscle strength training. I think as women, we should certainly put the message out there to all women about the importance of strength training. I strength train at least 3 times a week, and I have been doing, and it has helped me avoid surgery. I have to tell you this. I was knee surgery. I was due for knee surgery later on this year. I could cancel that simply because of the amount of work I've done with my strength training. Strength training is super, super, super important. So thank you for sharing that, Ramya. It's such an important message for all of us. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your second one?
My second one was actually came out of a very interesting eureka moment. I was in some scenario at home with a family member, and something triggered me about them, and I was getting very sort of picky. They were coming into my space, and that's when I realized, it came to me suddenly, that my need for control in the home space or anywhere else really comes from a sense of deep insecurity, right? I have a sense of, this is my space. The sense of importance that I need to feel is really a validation for the insecurity that I carry. And I've realized, and it shows up, it rears its heads in different areas. Sometimes I get into an ugly competitive mode in my head with somebody, or a lot of my insufficiencies, competition, all of that emerges from a deep sense of not good enoughness, right? A sense of insecurity in myself. So I think my goal this year is to focus and bridge that gap. I'm just going to be constantly aware, track my insecurity as a metric, and see how often it shows up, why it shows up, and work on myself. And hopefully by the end of the year, I'm a more secure, more confident, and as a result, probably a more giving and more loving person to be around. Right? So I think that's going to be a big area of work for me.
Wow. Shweta, this is why I love you so much. Thank you, A, for articulating it so beautifully, B, for being so vulnerable in your sharing, and C, if I may say so, because I work with people as a coach, I think you speak for all of us. And you speak for a lot of people, right? We've been bred and conditioned to be very, very sensitive to competition. And may I actually say something here? When I was doing my PhD at LBS, we had a guest speaker come in, who was, and I forget the exact designation. Maybe I shouldn't also mention his name. So he was a very, very senior partner at McKinsey. And one of the questions, it was a Q&A with, all the students there. And one of the questions posed to him was, what kind of people do you look for McKinsey? And he said, for highly competent and excellent, I forget the word he used, intelligent, who are also highly insecure. He said,
Insecure overachievers is the word actually.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, he said this. He bluntly said this. And it hit me like, whoa. Because, and it's not true just for McKinsey, right? It's true for many organizations. And again, I'm not vilifying anyone, but if you want them to put in those hours, make those sacrifices, and do that kind of thing, you're actually looking for that strain and quality of insecurity and more of it. I'm not saying there's anyone who doesn't have it. It's a spectrum. Because the more we have it, the more we can do that. And we all have it, right? Those of us who are these overachievers and all that. So I'm so proud of you tracking that insecurity and chipping it away and working out. So good, so good, so good.
There's a real risk with it, Insecurity pushes you to creates a hole that you want to fill, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is at some level the root of ambition, right?
And
Uh,
and the
right?
root of allowing us to be puppets in the hands of other people.
Yeah.
So
So I think like I said, it has a lot of negative. It's a root of unhappiness. It's a root of so much negative emotion. The root of being controlled, but it's also the root for ambition. So I do feel that one of the risks of kind of getting less insecure is you're probably going to lose that edge from an ambition perspective. But I think I'm old enough to kind of live with that now. So I'm okay with that. I think I'd rather have a more complete and more meaningful and a more happy life than one with a string of achievements, which because I'm too insecure to enjoy them anyway. So,
yeah. So I
right.
have actually data on this, and you're right in terms of losing the risk. So there are different paths to ambition, excellence, right? And when we've practiced only one path, we think it's the only path. So the one path where we overwork ourselves or work a lot from the space of insecurity, that will definitely go down. But there are other paths to work in excellence where we work out of love, we work out of inspiration, we work out of joy, we work out of creativity, right? And those are sometimes paths that we've not exercised that much, but it opens those up. And as we practice them, we can still land up excelling and having huge dreams for ourselves, which is actually also ambitious, but not coming from insecurity, but from that place. And
And that's exactly what, thank you for pointing that out because I did obviously begin that journey, right? My entire new career is based on that premise because I remember I wrote this article even on LinkedIn about why do I work. And insecurity has never been able to fuel me beyond a point. It results in burnout, when you're doing that whole thing, right? And I was not able to sustain that. So my entire career, and one of the reasons I do what I do is, hey, it's the love that sustains me. And a big sort of input into every project I do is, does it energize me or does it not energize me? If it energizes me, I take it on. If it
I've
doesn't
seen you
energize me, I
use
don't take it
that,
on.
Shweta. I've seen you use that parameter when you
Yeah,
make your choices and decisions. So I'm
yeah,
witness to,
yeah,
you starting that alternate path to excellence. And no, you'll
yeah.
still be
So what's
ambitious.
yours? What's your second one?
Yeah. So my second focus area is, so it's not a new focus area. It's been there in my life for like maybe 20 years now, up and down and up and down, but I'm re-bringing it into the center, and also choosing to start using it at the start of each day, and that is a focus on gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. So had a long history with this as well. So again, started pretty much in my PhD days at that time, where I was actually clinically diagnosed as depressed and I was unhappy. And I came across the research on gratitude logging and how it changes people's happiness levels and set points and 30 days of gratitude logging. And I was like, no, no way. This is fraud research. I'm going to prove this wrong. So, in my very cynical way, I'm going to do this and it's not going to be happier. And therefore, I will prove that these people are fudging their data. And this is bullshit research, right? That's how I got into it. So, every
Wow.
day before I started working, I was like just doing it cognitively, not even emotionally. Okay, what can I feel grateful for? I got a bus. I have 2 legs I can walk. Like very cliche things I was just writing. And as I started doing it, I realized on many days that A, my emotional space was changing. B, I realized that some days my gratitude log turned into a poem. C, I realized that on some days I didn't want to stop at 5. I would just go on. And I was like sold convinced. And then I looked up the research and I understood that. And the Tetris effect and lens. In fact, my first TEDx talk is on attention, your gateway to change, all about gratitude. So I started teaching that, preaching that, all of that. And so it's been there, but I didn't continue the exercise literally. I would do it on and off. Over the years, I've stopped doing it as an exercise. And this year, I'm going back, and I'm not really going back to the attitude of gratitude as a 5 things I want to list in that format, but I'm actually going back to it as a vibration and a frequency. So my focus area is when I get up first thing in the morning, not to worry about the pen and paper and all, but in my heart to remember and to literally like beam out that frequency of gratitude and beam it out unconditionally to myself, to my body, the world, everything, right?
Oh,
My
wow.
projects and yeah, I started doing it this year, and it's so good. So yeah, so not to get out of bed before I do that. So I'm still in my in bed
So
before I get up.
tell me how you do it exactly. Tell me how you do it exactly. What do you do? How do you feel it?
Once the alarm goes off, I either snooze it or I close it. And then I sit, and when I just like sort of, in my heart, I'm like, okay, what can I feel grateful for? Right. And it might be sometimes it's just Zara and something or something that happened yesterday. I met a friend. So today morning, and I'm a batchmate at Calm. And like, I met him up. So whatever is coming spontaneously, holding on to that. And then, just like you would do in gratitude logging, doing it
Yeah.
mentally, feeling that fuzzy, warm energy feel
Uh,
build up, and then, just beaming it out into my reality.
hmm.
So, my body, because you feel that energy, right? So, I also work with
Yeah.
energy. So you feel this warm, fuzzy gratitude energy. It's a vibration. So, not stopping there,
Hmm.
but to beaming it out, right? So, yeah, into just 2 3 areas every day, like not making a big thing out of it, but yeah.
And what do you hope will happen when you do this all year?
That's I so I believe in frequencies. So I wouldn't say it's a hope. I actually know the science. So I know, like, it's a knowing. I know. I just start my day on a different frequency. And yes, during the day, things can put me up and down and all of that, which happens. And I'll have to recenter, bring my frequency. But at least I've started it in the morning with a frequency of my choice.
Ah, okay. So it's actually you're deploying agency to the frequency at which you want to operate.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not
Oh,
going to
wow.
be completely in my control throughout the day,
Of course,
but
yeah. But at least,
the
yeah.
start is in my control.
And then, yeah, obviously, even then, yeah, that's such a great way to start a date. I'm deeply inspired. My plate is full, but I'm going to make a note and I'm going to do that probably next year. I don't want to overcrowd it. It's my other temptation is whenever I hear a good idea, maybe I can also do that. And then maybe I can also do this. So I'm just tempted to keep adding. And one of my bigger learnings is resist that temptation and focus on one or two areas. I do have one more area, and I'm hoping I can do it, which is my third one. But really, in the order of things, is going to be the one and the two, and the third one is I'm going to start small. And even if I can do like a little bit of it every day, I'm going to do it like that for now. And third is last year, my other resolution was a little bit more consistency in content creation. Uh, but that I achieved through hiring an agency, you know. But then what the result of that was that my own writing actually went down a lot. My own, I stopped doing a lot of the writing myself. Or all my writing became very focused towards social media content creation. And I kind of lost my sort of relationship with writing, you know. Um, so one of my things for this year, I thought I could wait another year given that I already have two resolutions, but one of my resolutions for this year is just to get back to more, I'm calling it reading, writing, storytelling, right? Just a little bit. Last year, I started reading a little bit more after many years. I am in the middle of reading a book now, but I want to be able to at least a page a day, not too much, maybe 2, 3 minutes. My resolution is a page a day of reading, maybe a page a day of writing, and maybe do one or two professional courses in storytelling. So I think that will be my third and last resolution of the year. Just to go back to my core as a storyteller, one of my friends told me that recently, the coach Deepak, he said that's your superpower and you need to do more of it. And it struck me that I've not been doing enough. You know, so I do want to bring that back, and I do want to start, and not with an intent to. I think creating content puts me in a box. I don't like that box. I'm just going to create for the sake of creation. That's my space. I enjoy the writing for the sake of it, and then when I put it out, people connect to it or don't connect to it. But when I look at it as content I must create, it takes the magic out for me. So I'm not going to look at it as content creation. I'm going to write, and if it is valuable, I will share it. If it's not valuable, if I feel it's valuable for others, I'll share it. If not, it's just writing practice for me, right? So I'm going to take away the stress of content creation. I'm going to focus more on just being a reader, a writer, and a storyteller.
Wonderful. So nice. It's so nurturing to even hear that, Shweta. So more power to you. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
going to
Thank you so
track
much.
back on each other on this. It's lovely, nurturing. Okay,
Yeah.
I know
And
we're
tell
out
me
of,
about yours.
yeah, time, but I'll just quickly share my third one, which is so in last to last year, end of I think October 2023, we built this cute little cottage in Tamil Nadu in a farm, and I thought, and people asked us, how often will you go there? And I was saying, well, I want to practically live there unless I'm teaching. And my husband very realistically was telling, we're hoping to go there twice a month. But the entire year passed. Okay, that was 2024. So in 2025, we did not land up going as often as I would like to go. And we definitely did not go even twice a month. And so, literally, this is like a very trackable resolution. I'm not putting numbers to it, but when I realize why we are not going as often as I would like to go and spending so much time there, I think it's just in my head, it's very, very far away. So, and there are only two ways of bridging that inner world distance of it's very, very far away. One is to actually go many times, because every time I go, I feel so nurtured and lit up, and the journey is as beautiful. So what is this far away thing? It's a beautiful. The road has been repaired. It's all green. And how does far away matter? It's 2 hours, okay, about 2 hours drive. And if I drive, it takes longer because I drive slowly. But it's a beautiful journey. So I'm just going to go more often and stop thinking of it as very, very far away, and start thinking of it as the drive and the journey is why I'm going. And when I reach there, staying in the farmhouse is the extra, bonus. And I'm hoping that will make us go more often.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so that would be great. And you like to go there because you said it energizes you and it lights
Yeah,
you up.
it's beautiful. There's nature and it's very nice. So, yeah.
Okay. So you just want to, oh, that's beautiful. That's a lovely resolution. Yeah.
And there's no
Any
Wi-Fi,
final word?
so we can't do our
Yeah, there's
podcast.
no, oh, wow. That's, oh, you truly get to disconnect. That's incredible. That's even better.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a digital detox. That's phenomenal. That's, oh,
My
that's
because I have Vodafone, I don't even get phone calls inside the house. I have to go out.
yeah. That's great, yeah. That's such a natural digital detox, one that we all need, yeah. Yeah. Chalo, what are your last few words
I think
for our
wishing
readers
you a happy new year,
or
happy
for our viewers?
2026. Wishing everybody a happy 2026. And if you're someone who cares to make either resolutions or focus areas and all, sending love, power, energy to your focus areas and resolutions. And let's all keep growing together.
Yeah, to more growth, to more collaborations. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Should I disconnect or do you want to share something else, Shweta? Or